Hi everyone, so this is my second video on mental health awareness, and today's topic is sectioning and being an inpatient. So some of you obviously maybe not have an understanding of what sectioning is. So being sectioned is where you are forcibly detained under the Mental Health Act of 1983 to be assessed and treated in a hospital. There are various types of sections. I'll go through the different types and what they all mean and how long they last and things like that. Number one, the key thing that I want to raise is that if you are sectioned, it doesn't necessarily mean you are violent or that you're aggressive. You become sectioned if you are deemed to be a risk to yourself or others. Most people, it's a risk to themselves, not other people, in terms of suicide or severe self-harm. Okay, so to get sectioned, you have to be deemed to have a possible mental health disorder. You must be assessed by 2 doctors and a social worker, and they must agree that you need to be in hospital for treatment or assessment. Starting off, a section 2 is for 28 days, and this is what most people are put on first, and that's for assessment. So that means you can be held in a hospital under duress, basically, without your will, for up to 28 days, and they'll assess you during this period, but they cannot force treatment on you. After section 2, after 28 days, you may then be put onto a section 3, which is normally done just after the day after you finish your 28 days. And that can last up to 6 months. They can then do that for another 6 months. And then after that, it can be for 12 months indefinitely after that. Keep repeating it. That's very unusual that someone ever gets more than 1 6 months. Or the longest I've been in is 14 months. Not all of that was under a section, but that's quite uncommon for people to be in that long, unless you're in a more secure unit. I was in open units, which means that the doors are unlocked, usually, or they can be unlocked. A secure unit is for people that maybe are more violent or need extra special care to stop themselves harming themselves. They will have special rules around cutlery. They'll count all the cutlery on lunch times and count, and if there's like a knife missing or a fork missing, no one can leave that room until it's been found. Rules like that just to make everyone safe. But yeah, to be kept in longer than after maybe 1 or 2 6 months of section 3 is very uncommon. So a section 3 is actually also for treatment. So this is where they could force treatment on you. You could be given medications in an injection form, a tablet form if you'll be willing to swallow them, but either way they can force you to have these. This might sound barbaric, but there are times where people do need medication to be pushed onto them because they're not well enough to accept it themselves. They don't have the capacity to understand that these medications might change everything that they're thinking and feeling, especially in forms of things more like psychosis and schizophrenia, where there is a lack of comprehension about the world around them. I struggled with things like that myself, and I know that sometimes just taking the meds can make a massive difference. There's been times where I've stopped my medications, and every time I've stopped my meds in, let's say 10 years roughly, maybe 12, I've ended up sectioned within 2 weeks. That's a personal thing. I guess maybe other people it wouldn't happen so quick or so short, but I realised after that happening a surprisingly amount of times to learn my lesson and be like, yeah, and I think I need these. No one enjoys taking medication, no one likes it, but if it's going to keep you well, if it's going to keep you level and stable and out of hospital, then I would definitely say it's worth it. And some medications have changed my life for periods of time, and maybe I've got used to them and my brain chemistry's changed again, or whatever it is. Life events have stressed me back out, but I would definitely be an advocate for medication as long as it's used responsibly, not overused, and is taken with consent. But as I was saying earlier, section 3 is for treatment and safety, so they can force a treatment on you. It's for your own good, but I know that when you're in that situation, you don't think it is, you don't feel it is, because I've been there. You feel like the staff are the enemy. They're trying to force you to take something that you don't want. They're trying to poison you, or they're trying to damage you or dumb you down. And it's all completely understandable thoughts and feelings and they will understand that mostly, I guess, the staff. I don't know any staff member that enjoys giving injections, that enjoys giving medication to people who doesn't want them. But they've seen the benefits and they've seen how they can change people's lives for good. And so they do it. So let's carry on with different assessments and different sections. So we've had section 2, which is 28 days, section 3, which is 6 months to 12 months. Section 4 is for 72 hours, and this is because you are believed to have a mental health disorder, and it is urgent that you need to be detained for safety when waiting for an assessment from 2 doctors, and the social worker would cause undesirable delay. So this is if there was a very urgent cause to get you in hospital and safety very quickly, they could do this and then get you assessed fully afterwards. And that would be done by 1 doctor and 1 mental health worker, an approved mental health worker. You would be taken to hospital for assessment, and then they would see what to do with you from there. Section 5.2 is if you are voluntary and you want to leave without a doctor's agreement in hospital, they can then section you for 72 hours to get you assessed again by 2 doctors and a social worker for a normal section, which would usually, if you'd already been in hospital a while, it might be straight to a section 3, which is 6 months because they'd already assessed you. Section 17 is leave. So this means if you have a section 17, it's a pink form that a doctor writes on, and it states where you can go, who with, how long for, and what times you're allowed between. This must be signed by your responsible clinician, who is the person who is responsible for your care in hospital, and also yourself. So there is some good section phrases. And the last one, probably one of my least favourites, is a section 136, and this is for up to 24 hours, and this is what the police can do to section people. So this is section 136 can be done by the police if they believe you have a mental health issue, you are in immediate need of care or control, and they will take you to a place of safety, whatever that is defined as in your local area. So some countries, some cities and towns have what are called section 136 suites, and these are basically like a safe room. There's nothing you can hurt yourself with, just a bed. You'll have a staff member with you constantly until you can be assessed. Or it could actually end up being a police cell. I've been sectioned by the police and I've had to go into a cell. It's very degrading, it's very demoralising, it's humiliating when they have to do a strip check. And again, no one enjoys it when they're doing it, but you do kind of feel like, oh, you sick bastards, what you're doing this to me for. But it's done for a reason. This is what we have to remember at the end of this, is that a section is never done because it's fun. It's never done for someone's sick pleasure. You know, it's done to save someone's life, or to save them from hurting someone else's life, or to stop them hurting themselves in a way that would permanently damage them for the rest of their life. And eventually, I think a lot of sectionings, although they can be quite damaging, sometimes can also be a reason to get well, to stay out of hospital and to keep fighting, and not let yourself get beaten down by life so much. I know personally, when I've been depressed, I've thought being suicidal, because I think, well, if I let slip about this and I get sectioned, like, that's going to be worse than me sat at home feeling depressed. It's a reason to fight. It's a reason for me to want to improve how I'm feeling, is to avoid being sectioned, to avoid coming back into hospital. But that being said, hospitals have been a lifesaver, literally, for me. I wouldn't be here if I hadn't been sectioned in my life. I wouldn't be still alive. I'd have died many years ago. I'd have died at 14. And if not then 16. And I know that a lot of it is God saving my life. There's been a lot of amazing incidences where I should have died. People shouldn't have found me. People shouldn't have known where I was, for example. And yet I've been saved. But that's for a different video. Let's not get into that. I don't want to upset anyone with talking about God. So just some questions that you might be asked when you're being assessed for a section. So you might be asked about your day-to-day life, your mood, how it's been for the past couple of weeks, maybe month, your routines, your habits. So what do you do when you get up? How often do you eat? What do you eat? Do you watch TV? Do you walk a lot? Do you exercise? Do you go to the gym? How's your sleeping habit? Do you sleep well? What time do you go to sleep? What time do you wake up? It can seem quite intrusive, but it's all just to find out about what your actual needs are and what they can do to help you get a better life. They might ask if you're self-harming. They might look to see if you're neglecting yourself. They might ask what support you have at the moment, what medications you're on. Are you a risk to yourself or others? Are you suicidal? How are you feeling about the future? Things like that. And so just to clear up one thing as well, when you're sectioned, you can be forcibly taken to a hospital or a safe place, as mentioned earlier. you can't just say no. They can get the police to handcuff and drag you, or you can walk in of your own volition, which is much nicer for everyone. But you can be forced, and that's the sad thing about it, is that I know when I've been sectioned, I've fought it and I've hated it, and I've got really angry and really upset, and why are they doing this to me? But at the end of the day, it's to help that person who's sectioned. It is to get them well, it is to help them get a life back, to get a bit of peace back in their life and some happiness in their life that they might not have if they were left at home alone to kill themselves or to self-harm every day and to self-neglect and self-destruct, basically. And so I'm going to leave this video on that note, that sectioning, while it is awful, while it isn't nice, it serves a purpose, it can save lives. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.